out there, music lovers. Today I want to talk about the Puerto Rican Cuatro. If you live here in the States, like I do, I live here in Texas, you probably never heard of a Puerto Rican Cuatro unless you married a Puerto Rican like I did, or you know someone from Puerto Rico, some good friends or family, because you just don't see them here in the States very much. But the Puerto Rican Cuatro is to Puerto Rico what the bagpipes are to Scotland. It's the national instrument. If you're going to Puerto Rico, you're going to see somebody play the Cuatro. It's the folk instrument of Puerto Rico. Now, mine was given to me by my in-laws as a present over 20 years ago, of a wedding present, and I had some handmade. It's all one piece of wood in the neck and body. It's got 10 strings or 5 courses. It's like playing a 5-string guitar. It's tuned like a 5-string bass, except I think 1 or 2 octaves lower. Today I'd like to say that the Puerto Rican Cuatro works great with old-time music and bluegrass. And I would like to say, I would like to compare it to other bluegrass instruments and tell you why I think it fits so well. First, the mandolin. You don't have an old-time music or a bluegrass band without having a mandolin. And the Cuatro, like the mandolin, has doubled strings so that it's really loud. The Cuatro will get very, very loud, like a mandolin. Now, what it has that the mandolin don't have is it's got that big, fat body. So it's built like a guitar. It's as wide as a guitar, although it's not as big. It projects louder, has more bass. So you can play solo all by yourself, as opposed to a mandolin, which sounds kind of tinny by yourself. It's a very high. It's very high on the audio spectrum, so it sounds kind of tinny when you're playing by yourself. So it fits in great that way with old time and bluegrass music. Now, when you compare it to a guitar, the guitar is not as loud. The acoustic guitar is not as loud. Many times I've been to these open mic jam sessions where you play alone and you take turns playing leads, and I've done that with the guitar. The problem is when you try to play a lead on guitar, well, the banjo and the mandolin, they're over there. They're as loud as Ted Nugent, and you can't really hear yourself because the banjo and mandolin is so much louder than the guitar. So, but the Cuatro is loud when you take a ride. It projects just fine, and you're going to be able to keep up with the banjo player and the mandolin. Now, when you compare it to a banjo, it's got some things in common. The banjo is very popular because you have those open. You always hear open strings. It's tuned in an open G tuning, so they might be playing 2 or 3 strings, and the other strings are ringing open. Well, you can do that with a Cuatro, like in the key of G also. See how I'm utilizing all those open strings to my advantage, just like you would on a banjo. So I'm going to tell one more thing. I'm going to tell a little story. Not long ago, I did a gig with the bluegrass band, and there was a guy there that I didn't recognize, and he says, "I remember you. You were at the Bay Area Bluegrass Jam way back when, and you had a Puerto Rican Cuatro." Because I took back when I first got it, I took it to some of these jams, and it really stood out. People would see, like, what is that? And I'd play those old time fiddle tunes, and so I didn't recognize him, but he recognized me because he recognized my Cuatro. So it really made an impression on him, and so it's something that's very unique, and you don't see them very often, and they sound great. And if you play guitar, you can pick them up pretty easy because it's basically like a 5-string bass. So there you go. That's my little bit about the Puerto Rican Cuatro. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Have a good day.